the administration, everyone is talking about how my father was in touch with the administration and he would work with them a lot, and that is true. But at the same time, I think there was some sense of hostility towards him that goes unnoticed. People often just shrug it, that it's nothing. But I think that hostility has translated into this incarceration. He was one of the people who were very active during the anti-CAA protests in Allahabad. And then apart from that, I think the one thing that I can think of, one incident that I can highlight, is that there was a Dharma Sansad that was organized in Allahabad, and Abu was the only person who tried to file a complaint against it in the relevant police station. The complaint was never registered, but he also took it up with every official of the administration to get it registered. And I think that's something that made him come into that hit list or whatever. That he's not just someone who's concerned about the Qabristan or the slaughterhouse or other social works. He's also concerned about the safety of his community, and he's also recognizing that there is a rising intolerance in the town, and he's trying to address it in the ways he thinks he can. And I think that's what irked the administration the most, because he just did not give speeches or write long posts saying that this is wrong or whatever. He also tried to do something about by filing a complaint, by filing a petition. Abu has been a part of several peace committees that the police makes to to ensure there's peace and stability in the city, and Abu's always been part of those. And I don't know, ever since the last Friday of Ramzan, the police would always be super active a day before Friday, that is on Thursday. They'd call people and everything, especially before 10th of June. The police had been in touch with Abu from before that, and they were constantly, because Abu does talk about these things in front of us. He does not go to a different room to talk to someone. He talks to whoever calls in front of us only. So they were constantly not asking, in fact telling him that there's something that's going to happen on Friday. And Abu said that we have no information of what you're talking about. There is no call. Abu is a member of the Jamaat. He said there's no call from Jamaat for a protest. There is no call from any Muslim organization for a protest. The Shahi Imam also has not given any call. No local Masjid Imam has given any call. We don't know what you're talking about. But the administration was adamant that something is going to happen on Friday. And in fact, they even suggested to my father in a very intimidating way that if something does happen, you will be held accountable for it. To which my father politely replied that I don't know what is going to happen. I have no idea what you're talking about. And so we had a sense that Abu would be you sense that you're being targeted. You sense that someone in your family is not in the good books anymore or whatever. We had this sense that Abu might be incriminated in something or the other. I mean, when the CAA protests were happening, the police filed a fake complaint against him saying that he stole a tree from Qabristan just to harass him. So we were expecting something. We were not expecting them to call him a mastermind, but we were expecting something. We knew that they'd do something even before the protest even happened, that he might be picked up for something.
But have you ever thought of it would lead into demolishing a house?
Not really. I mean, we did not expect the police action to be this fabricated, this violent, this humiliating. We did not expect that. I mean, the way things are in India, we can expect way more, way worse than this. But initially, we did not expect that they'd target our house or they'd take Ammi and Sumaya at 12:30 a.m. We were not expecting all of this, especially because the administration may want to target him or whatever, but he has a very clean record in town. Everyone knows him, and his entire life has been an open book. And so in that sense, we thought that it would be difficult for them to fabricate things against him. And also of course, that the house is not under his name. It's primarily not his house. So yeah, we did not really expect this, but then at the same time, we know that I think that as a family, if it was less than this or more than this or just this, I think it's less to do with what we were expecting and more to do with what has happened and how we have accepted that, in the sense that, of course, not accepted the injustice or that we will not fight it, but the fact that we're not going to let it break us. To be quite honest, I did not really like my house. Like, in the sense, I did not like the architecture of my house. And I had several times told Abu that we should shift the bathroom from this place and make this a storeroom and shift the bathroom here, make the wash basin somewhere else. But it's not about the building, right? It's not about the structure. It's about the people in it, and it's about how we spent our life in that house. And my father built that house with a lot of love, in the sense, Abu has been he'd do more than he could afford. We would do more than we could afford. If people would see even the police is saying that our house is worth 5 crores. I don't know if that's true, but but still, he'd want the best of the furniture, the best of the beds, the best of the flooring and lights and switchboards and everything. So he would carefully pick everything. And so that's what something that not with me, but I when I imagine what Abu would think, that everything that he hand picked, even the curtains of the house, everything my father would pick. My mother would not pick all those things. We had this massive library with lots of books. It's my younger sister was born in that house, and so our house was is as old as my younger sister in some sense. And it was our space. We could be ourselves, we could be free. We'd have a lot of fun with each other, and we'd also fight a lot with each other. And my mother was very fond of plants, so when they were demolishing, we saw the plants and the pots, they just crumbling down. And I think we had more than 500 pots in the house with plants in it. It would have been difficult for them to... I also imagine that the plants would be cursing them, so that also gives me relief. Yeah, I mean, it's a bizarre feeling. I can't really... It felt... To an extent, I felt a lot of shame, because our pictures were being displayed on cameras, and the cards that we wrote to someone, and a lot of personal objects. These are not necessarily things that we don't want to show anyone or anything, but these are personal, private items. And each object in the house, I can say, has a massive story behind, because everything that came inside the house came with a lot of someone would say they would not like it, someone would say they love it, we keep it here, we keep it there. And then and a lot of times my mother would say that our house is a kabad khana, because something would come in and we just keep it with us. We would not we were very I think as a family we found it hard to let go of even physical things. We have a broken cycle that my elder brother used to ride when he was a kid. So that kind of stuff also was just in the house. So we as a family we struggled a lot with letting go of these things also. I think a lot of times we try to clean the place up in the sense that get rid of unnecessary things, but then, oh no, we can use this sometime afterwards, oh let's just keep this. Even the wedding invitations that would come, we had this massive carton filled with wedding invitation because me and Sumaya thought that we'd make some craft out of it and we'd not let anyone throw them away. The first thing that we shifted were all the Qurans and all the Islamic books that we had. I mean, that was the first thing that we wanted to be safe, because when they demolished, we did not want the Qurans to be affected at all. And we had a lot of Qurans. And but apart from that, I think I or even my sister-in-law or the relatives that had come to the house, none of us were trying to save things in the sense that we save this. It was just a weird feeling of choosing what to save and what not to save. Everything felt that it needed to be saved. In fact, the structure also felt that it needed to be saved. Even the wall paints my father would pick out, everything. So, but then we I think, like I said, we struggled as a family to let go of even physical objects. But I think we've let go of the biggest physical object that was associated to our lives, and we are fine. I think our first priority is to get Appu out, and the fact that and to establish the fact that he is being in fact unjustly incriminated and that it's all fabricated, and we are legally moving forward and everything at the same time. And then there's this entire pub father daughter duo that's doing rounds, and and how I would suggest or ask my father to do things, and I would be plotting things in his head and then he would do something. So
has it ever happened did you get a chance to control his mind?
Never. I mean, it's to a certain extent it's in fact refreshing to see people think that that something of that sort could happen, because it cannot. I mean, my father and I would have a lot of discussions and we would differ with each other a lot, and then it would end with both of us saying that you are not going to understand what I am saying, so let's just agree to disagree. And so that's there. It's also contrary to the general media perception about Muslim fathers, that Muslim fathers would shut their daughters down and not listen to them and keep them inside the house caged, but they're not thinking that of my father. So they probably do think that so at least the stereotype is not there. Alhamdulillah, he never stopped me from anything. He just told me what's right and what's wrong, and he just let me be. He trusted me enough to do all the things that I am doing, and but at the same time, of course, we're two different individuals. We will have two different opinions, and not every time we will agree with each other. And that also, he respected with so much grace. I mean, I've seen a lot of elders, even who's not my relative, like, even in the activist circle, who just, like, patronize me, saying that I'm too young to have those conversations with them. But my father never did that. Like, he would definitely have those conversations. He might disagree, but he would have those conversations with me. But then about this conspiracy thing, I mean, I don't think my father and I can ever agree to plot the same conspiracy. His conspiracy would be very different than what I am planning, and mine would be very different than what he is planning. It's all, I think, the way they're fabricating everything. I mean, there's not a single thing that is true as of now, apart from the fact that, I mean, in some of the reports also they've written his name as Javed Ahmed. His name is also not Javed Ahmed, it's Javed Mohammed. So it's fabricated to that extent that they can't even get his name right.
Media's trying to acknowledge it as like Javed Pump. I know it's just a familiar name in the society or something,
Yeah.
but it kind of has some sort of a gangster. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think I read some headline from some right-wing outlet, नफरत का पंप पे बुलडोजर भारी something.
like it's a punchline.
Yeah. So basically, my father's business was that of submersible pumps, and and he had gotten a lot of borings done in the city. So people would say if his name is Javed Pump, because like many people might have my name is Afreen AMU or Afreen JNU or Afreen Delhi, and so that's how the name came. And even on Truecaller it says Javed Pump when you search my father's name, and we'd say that download Truecaller and change it. What is wrong with you? But now apparently this is some cool gangster name that he has. It's bizarre. I mean, it's absolutely bizarre to even imagine. I mean, I'm laughing it off right now, but it's almost, it's funny, but at the same time it's almost very disturbing that anything can be used to dehumanize you. I mean, his business, it's become a punchline, and people are right-wing sensational headlines are coming with Javed Pump. And of course, I mean, it's happening not just to my family, it's happening to a lot of families across India. And it's not just happening in UP, it's happening in states where there are quote-unquote secular progressive governments. People are being martyred, and that is the price, I think, that the Muslim community is paying for nothing. I mean, there is no action to which there is a reaction. I mean, the current situation is in India is in fact defying the laws of physics, that you need to do something and then you will be punished, or it would be and it would of course not be an equal and opposite reaction. It would be a way more massive blow from the state. As Muslims, Muslims don't even have to do anything. Even if there was no protest in Allahabad, I'm quite sure my father would have been incriminated. Given the fact that he is someone who was acknowledging the rising intolerance in Allahabad city. I mean, there was a Dharma Sansad where genocidal calls were given. And this punishment or this idea of deriving pleasure by punishing Muslims is very prevalent right now, and the Hindu supremacists derive, it's a fetish of theirs of sorts to see Muslim house crumbling, to see Muslims going to jail, to see Muslims being demonized and dehumanized on national television day in and day out, and that's their idea of fun. And to all of that, I think we're not willing to give that to them. So we're not going to shed a single tear. And as for the entire Muslim community, I think the community is strong and we'll survive whatever will come. We've survived, like the Islamic history is that we've survived way worse than this.